Hi.
Hey.
Come on in.
Great, thanks.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. I liked it. Let's just try again.
Yeah. Hi.
Are you like trying to pick me up and place me on the kitchen counter?
Yeah.
I love the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm 6'4", you know. We gotta some
Hi, babe.
logistics need
Okay.
some irony now.
Okay. Do we want to move to the bedroom to iron out some logistics?
Hi everybody, welcome to Dekkoo In Depth. I'm Ross, and today we're talking about the new Dekkoo original Throuple. And to talk about it, I have two of the stars. We have writer and star Michael Doshier and co-star Stanton Plummer-Cambridge. Hello to you both. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
You two are two of the stars in the film. You kind of are part of this throuple relationship. Michael, your character finds himself joining Stanton and his partner. And I heard that when you were writing this movie, it kind of came from inspiration that you had experienced this kind of dynamic of being a third wheel or kind of being in the periphery of throuples. Can you talk a little bit about your inspiration for this?
Yeah, I wrote this in a time in my life where I felt like I was third wheeling a lot of relationships. There's two kind of central thruples in Thruple. One is with Stanton's character, Georgie, and his husband, Connor, played by Tommy Helleringer. And that was kind of inspired by my time dating in New York around 2018, 19, 20. I was encountering more and more couples that were opening their relationship and going on dates with married men and getting into the ins and outs of how that looked for them, which was really interesting and cool. And it provided a lot of inspiration for how plot could move. And then the other throuple is like my relationship with my best friend and roommate, Tristan, and her girlfriend, which is more of an actual lived experience of mine. Tristan is played by my actual best friend, Tristan, and she and I had a kind of codependent relationship for many years, including when she got her first partner. I was kind of always clinging on to them. So Throuple, the movie, kind of combines those two ideas of third wheeling.
And how does she feel about her character in this movie versus her as a person? Does it kind of reflect on that point in both of your lives, or does she kind of see other aspects of herself?
That's a great question. I actually am curious I'm going to text her and ask her that. I'm going to ask her for her answer after this interview, which might not be very helpful for right now, but I'm curious. I think that, we mined a lot of inspiration from our real lives. And I think that's what helped us along in the performances was, especially in, more tense scenes, some of the actual friendship stuff that we've gone through definitely came up for me, and it felt like it came up for her too. She's as we all are, much more nuanced people than I'm able to write in 90 pages. So I think that she has depth to her that Throuple doesn't even come close to tackling. But I really wanted to honor our friendship. So I hope it's like relatively close to our dynamic as real people. And I also wanted to honor her band because she's in this incredible band called Dakota Jones. And watching her perform throughout the past several years was a huge inspiration for like the setting of a movie being like the underground music scene. So I also tried to give her band as many scenes as possible to play their actual live music in the movie.
Stanton, I'm kind of curious, bringing yourself into the role of Georgie, kind of what drew you to him? And I'm curious if you found yourself in kind of similar relationship situations where you're trying to appease your partner, but also trying to explore a little bit yourself and do what's right for you.
I was drawn to the writing, firstly. I mean, Michael said that he wasn't able to write particularly or capture as much of Tristan as he possibly could in 90 pages. But I think you did a really incredible job of writing three-dimensional people who I felt like I immediately connected with. And so that was a huge part for me of why I was interested in the project. And then I was lucky enough to audition for it, and then I got it. And yeah, I guess that's like how I became involved in it. But I think that in regards to, I find that with some projects there are like these weird synchronicities that happen as the character of Georgie was sort of falling in love with Michael, because I think he does fall in love with him. I think he's in love with both of these people. I found myself falling in love as well, and like I ended up being in a relationship, and that those two things sort of like mirrored each other throughout the shoot, and it was really interesting. I think that like when you're working maybe on certain things on a deep level, it opens you up and opens your interior world up and takes certain blinders off that you have had on maybe in real life. So yeah, there were a lot of like really funny synchronicities that happened during the shoot for me.
And especially Michael, because correct me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of a fictionalized version of yourself. How do you kind of go about being yourself, but being maybe a different version of yourself, or a version of yourself that took a different path? Because that really fascinated me while watching this.
I think that like this character of Michael is kind of like some of my least cherished qualities that I have of myself kind of blown up to maximum impact, to where, as opposed to things that maybe I deal with in small ways or in private, I kind of was like, well, what if he just like, that was what he was, at his core and at face value. So specifically around, communication, I feel like, part of the thrust of kind of like an open relationship plot is the reliance on open communication. I've have enough friends and who are in open relationships that have confirmed that's like the kind of key to making it work. So my character is really struggles with that, and really has an issue with declaring how he's feeling and what he wants in his relationships and in his life. And so that's a thing that I've long dealt with for sure. But to make it a sort of an engine of a story, I kind of blew it up to be my main kind of character trait, I guess.
Well, how did you get here?
Oh my God, you tell us. We took a train to another train. We got on a bus.
Like, how does that happen? How do you fall in love?
You've never been in love before?
Maybe someday I'll try to turn myself into a character, but I'm still actively working on things, so we'll maybe hold off on that. But a big part of this movie is, we have photography, we have music, we have drag. Art is this really driving force, and the art of creation in this movie. I'm just curious, even outside of this movie in particular, and even within Thruples as well, what does art and creation, what does that mean to both of you?
In regards to this film, and it might sound kind of trite, but like it's not just set in New York, it's set in Brooklyn. Parts of Brooklyn that have only up until, I guess, recently been on the fringes or considered on the fringe, where a lot of members of the artistic community lived because they could afford to live there. And I think that part of the authenticity maybe of the film is that, like, because these characters are in these places, art is all around them, and it's like something that we kind of take for granted living here in New York, is that like we have such unbelievable access to music, to photography, to, a random jazz bar that's in someone's Bed-Stuy brownstone. Like all of these things are like, they just surround us, and we don't really think about them. And I think that maybe when they're presented to us in a more concentrated setting, like, a film, an hour and a half of a film, you feel it more acutely. It's like, wow, there are all of these things, and all of these people to a certain degree in the film, I think, have artistic ambitions. Like it feels like that's a through line of everyone, is that they have this creative drive and this creative purpose. And that's kind of, in many ways, why they find themselves in the same areas and why they meet to begin with, why they sort of collide to begin with.
Yeah, I really don't think I can say it any better. That's exactly right. I feel really blessed that we made this movie with a bunch of actual Brooklyn young people that lived in these spaces and frequented these spaces. These were our friends who are playing up on the stages. The bands are people that I know or Tristan knows or one of our producers knows or Stanton knows. And, it's the spaces that we were able to secure to shoot the movie were often favors because someone on our crew tended bar there or played there often with their band. And it feels very lived in that way. It is capturing a period of my life that was really specifically surrounded by artistic energy and artistic energy that didn't feel aimed at commercial success or riches. Like it really felt like for years and years I was at open mics, small venues with people who just wanted to play their music that night. And that in and of itself was the reward. And that is, that really is the energy of this movie. That's definitely how we all approached it. I felt very blessed that we had a cast and crew that all were down to approach it in that way, that we were just invested in making this beautiful piece of art. And I think that really, like Stanton said, I think it really kind of shows through.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even Michael, your character kind of throughout the movie, when people ask, like, what does he do? And he kind of struggles between saying, like, I'm a singer-songwriter versus, oh boy, I'm blanking. You are a marketing...
Administrative assistant.
Administrative assistant.
Yeah.
The most generic noun of a job title that you can have. But, I mean, that's a very real thing. But coming out of the pandemic and lockdown, that we are kind of in that moment where a lot of people are creating for creation's sake again. And sure, going viral or having a hit or something, that's fantastic. But people are just wanting to bare their souls, and it seems that a lot of folks are receptive to that. I mean, you've kind of talked about this already, Michael. So how kind of was it working with Dekkoo throughout this process?
We feel so blessed and excited to work with Dekkoo on getting this movie out there. It's every filmmaker's dream to have, a theatrical premiere of their feature. And our team gets to say that we're going to have our, New York theatrical premiere March 14th, and then the LA premiere right shortly after. So Dekkoo's kind of making real dreams come true. And even before that, though, just in early conversations, they have been so invested in the film, and they really see it for what it is. Like, the fact that all these, young Brooklyn filmmakers came together to make this piece. Dekkoo's really valued that from our very first conversations and has championed the movie in ways that we've, dreamed of for a long time. Because when you're making a movie with your friends in New York, you are not sure where it's going to go, And so to partner with Dekkoo to make sure it has its chance out in the world, now that our baby has been birthed and it's done the festivals, and now it's time for Dekkoo to distribute it. Like, we're so happy to have such committed partners in that who actually really love and get the film.
You two really are a part of something unique and special and just really beautiful. So I really want to commend you both. Michael Doshier and Stanton Plummer-Cambridge, thank you both so much for joining me. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And you watching can see Throuple at the New York premiere on March 14th. You can get information and tickets at the description and find out about the LA premiere. And it will be streaming soon, but come on, you got to see it on the big screen. For Dekkoo In Depth, I'm Ross. Have a good one, everybody.